As a diehard college football fan, it really hurts my heart to hear people calling bowl games meaningless. And now we got this big problem in college football where bowl games have now lost their luster to the point where people are now contemplating if they should just be thrown in the trash and you should just get rid of them altogether. And you see, the people who call college football bowl games meaningless are the same people who get mad when these players decide to opt out of them. Like, you can't call these bowl games meaningless and tweet it out and not expect these players to see. Like, if you're calling these bowl games meaningless on social media, you don't think these players see that? If you're calling them meaningless and you don't think they're worth anything, then what do you expect these players to view them as? You see, there are reasons for why college football is the way that it is right now. And it mainly is because of the coverage that the college football playoffs gets. You see, bowl games have become meaningless in a lot of players' eyes and a lot of people's eyes, not because of the bowl games themselves, and not because there's too many of them, but simply for the fact that all people care about is the college football playoffs. That's all they talk about all throughout the season. If your team has 2-3 losses and they're not able to get into the playoffs, then you don't matter anymore. They don't talk about you anymore. If you're not in the playoffs, then what you're doing is irrelevant. And that's where college football has started to take a turn, with some of the traditions that have made this sport so great now starting to kind of go a little bit extinct. You see, I remember there was a day and age in college football where you never saw players opt out for a bowl game. You want to know why? Because players had pride for their programs. Why do the bowl games matter? Because it's another chance to play another game for their university that they spent 3-4 years with. Oh wait, there's not too many players spending 3-4 years with a program anymore because of the transfer portal and NIL. You want to know something funny? All of FSU's best players opted out of their bowl game against Georgia in the Orange Bowl. Why? Oh, well, they were just so crushed that they didn't get into the playoffs. What was the reason for them playing? Okay, let me ask you this. Alabama didn't get into the playoffs last year. And Will Anderson, Bryce Young, Jahmyr Gibbs all played in their bowl game against Kansas State. And this isn't the first time Alabama has had this happen. A while back, when they beat the shit out of Michigan in the Citrus Bowl, everybody that was a projected first rounder played in that game. Christian Barmore, Jalen Waddle, Henry Ruggs, Jerry Jeudy. So why is it that these bowl games are only meaningless to players that don't play for Alabama? If these Alabama players are suiting up for bowl games, why is it that these other programs can't have the same thing happening? You want to know why? Because there are so many teams that have built their programs through the transfer portal that these players that you get from the portal, they don't have that same level of dedication and commitment to wanting to leave out on top of a program. You see, Alabama players, the reason why they played against Kansas State last year is because they wanted to finish what they started. Will Anderson wanted to leave out with one more win to add to his Alabama career. Same thing with Bryce Young. And Jahmyr Gibbs was a guy from the portal. And he played in that game. You want to know why? Because when you already have a built culture, one guy from the portal just falls in line with everything else. And that's something that we don't have in college football anymore. You don't have a lot of rosters comprised of players that have been there for 3-4 years. So you don't have players that are as dedicated to the program as what they've been in the past. You see, why do these bowl games matter? Because it's competition. You should want to go out there and have another opportunity to compete if you're a fifth-year senior, to lay it on the line for the university that gave you an opportunity to play college football. We don't have that anymore. And what really makes me upset is that people forget what has made college football the sport that it is today. What makes college football such a great sport is the tradition and pageantry. These rivalries get so much viewership not because of them being big brands, but because these rivalries stem back from 100 years ago. The game has so much meaning, not just because it's Michigan and Ohio State, but because how long these two schools have been going to war. Football is about rivalries. It's about tradition. It's about pageantry. And that's everything that college football is. And with people now trying to make bowl games out to be meaningless, you're watering down one of college football's oldest traditions. The first bowl game was in 1902. You know what it was? It was the Rose Bowl. You want to know why watching the Rose Bowl was such a spectacle? Because it's the granddaddy of college football. Tradition and pageantry is what makes this sport so great. And now people want to ruin it by extending the college football playoffs to not just 12 teams, but 24 teams. At the end of the day, you don't have to watch bowl games if you don't watch them. Okay? If you don't want to see a bowl game, you don't have to watch it. But me, don't know about you, this is my favorite time of the college football season. Because I can wake up on a random day on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday during the second week to January. Well, during the second week of December to the first week of January and watch a random bowl game. Like I was watching Texas A&M play against somebody in their bowl game. And it was a great game. I was watching them play Oklahoma State. I was watching the Pop-Tarts Bowl. I was watching the Cheeses Bowl. I was watching the Duke Mayo Bowl. Bowl season is for people who don't get enough football during the regular season, who just need more football in their life. Why is everybody so against bowl games when all they give you is more football, more entertainment? You see, like, these bowl games aren't meaningless. They're only meaningless because the college football playoffs has made them meaningless. Because if you're not in the playoffs, you don't matter. Oh, well, why would anybody want to see a 6-6 team versus a 6-6 team in a bowl game? Because we love football, damn it. It's a bad thing that I love watching football. So I got to get penalized for what bowl games getting taken away? Well, JT, the 12-team playoffs is going to fix it all. Yeah, we get a couple more extra playoff games. Hooray. But what about the other 30, 40 bowl games that we get to miss out on? The 40 extra games of college football. You know, like, football is only a 3-4 month sport, right? Once it ends, you got to wait 7 months for it to start back up again. So you should cherish the opportunity to watch every single bowl game possible if you truly love this sport. And you see, if you want to know a way to fix the whole bowl season problem in college football, you know what I think they should do? Maybe stop allowing players to hit the transfer portal before the season officially ends. Maybe stop allowing coaches to leave for other jobs before the season ends. You know, like, the reason why this sport is in the condition that it is right now is because they made so many rule changes and they didn't think about the implications of these rule changes. What sense does it make that players can just opt out of a bowl game and hit the transfer portal before the season officially ends? What sense does it make that a coach can leave for a job before the season ends? That makes no sense to me. Like, Willie Fritz should have not been permitted to leave for Houston until he fulfilled his contractual obligations to Tulane, which is coaching in their final bowl game. You know, like, nobody cares about that anymore. Like, everybody was always saying how we need more player mobility. These coaches can leave anytime they want, so why can't the players? Well, you got player mobility now, and now everybody's mad that these players are deciding to hit the portal and opt out of these bowl games, but everybody was all for player mobility in the transfer portal. You see, the problem is that everybody wanted to get their cake, and they wanted to eat it too. But you see, when you change one thing in college football, you take away from another. Now the only thing that matters in this sport is college football, and I'm not an old age college football fan. I'm not 40, 50 years old on a soapbox screaming about college football used to be so much better in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Like, I'm a new age college football fan. I started watching college football in 2010. The first championship game I ever watched was Cam Newton and Auburn against Oregon, and it was a classic. Now I look at the state that college football is in, like, a couple years later, and it's not the same anymore because of everything and all the changes that have taken place. Like, what happened to Florida State in the Orange Bowl was an absolute travesty. Like, these dudes were so depleted that they had to have wide receivers playing running back. That's how much lack of depth they had because of all the opt-outs they had, plus players hitting the transfer portal. Their damn backup quarterback hit the transfer portal when he really should have played in this game, because this game would have provided him with an opportunity to prove himself. Like, the transfer portal has ruined bowl season. NIL has ruined bowl season. Player mobility and coach mobility has ruined bowl season. You want to make bowl season better? You should first start off with not allowing these coaches and players to leave until after the season concludes. That's just common sense. Another way that you can make this better is by giving out compensation to players based on how prestigious the bowl game that they're playing is. So let's say that the Rose Bowl doesn't get a playoff game. Well, if you have a team that makes it to a Rose Bowl game, then they should get $20,000 if they're winners. And you just divvy that up amongst the players, or you just give a certain amount of money to each player on that team. If you make it to the Tax Layer Bowl, you only get $2,000 per player because the Tax Layer Bowl isn't as prestigious as what the Rose Bowl is. If you make it to the Orange Bowl, you get $20,000. You play in the Duke Mayo Bowl or the Cheeses Bowl or middle tier bowl game, you get $10,000. So the more prestigious the bowl game is, the more compensation the players get. You see, we're in a money-driven world. Money runs the world, whether people want to admit it or not. So I would never get upset with the player for opting out to protect his draft stock when there's millions of dollars in this at stake in this. You feel me? But players opting out, hitting the transfer portal before the season ends, that doesn't sit well with me. It makes no sense that you should be allowed to transfer before the season officially ends. That's one of the stupidest things that has ever been permitted to go on in college football. You see, you can't be one of those people that scream out how bowl games are meaningless on Twitter or X, whatever people call it, but then get mad when players opt out because they don't take these bowl games seriously. You see, you guys who are saying these bowl games are meaningless, you're just as big as a problem as the players themselves, because you are reinforcing an idea and a narrative that they see. These players see everything. They use social media too. They're humans too. They have an Explore page. They get recommended tweets all the time. And if you're a player and you are projected to be a first, second round pick, and you see a tweet from Garrett Wilson saying how bowl games suck, and you see a tweet from John Who saying how bowl games are meaningless, what the hell would make you want to play in it? If everybody thinks they're meaningless and they're not going to watch, why play in it? What's the purpose? So the fans who are complaining about this, who are hypocrites, you're just as much as the problem as everything else. You see, I wish people would just enjoy bowl season for what it is. Another chance to watch your favorite team play before the season ends, or another chance to watch another football game before you have to go 7-8 months without another one. Like, what the hell am I going to watch when college football and the NFL season are over? What, the UFL? Hell, even that has to end. So, I don't get why people are so against bowl games. Like, if you don't like bowl games, you don't have to watch them. That's really what frustrates me. We got too many bowl games. Says who? What's wrong with there being too many bowl games? What the fuck does them having 60 bowl games have anything to do with you? Is that hurting you? Is having 50, 60 bowl games hurting you and hindering from you doing what you want to do in life? No, it doesn't. Let the people who enjoy watching bowl games like me and whoever else enjoy watching bowl games without trying to diminish them. We have watered down college football so much that the only thing that matters is making it to the playoffs, when this sport was never just about who was going to win the national championship. What has made college football what it has become today has been greed and money. And these fans that now are just only caring about the playoffs. And ESPN is part of this problem too, bro. Like, I remember one day on game day, like, Pat McAfee said he wasn't going to talk about the team because they were irrelevant because they weren't in the playoffs. Like, that's one of the worst statements that you can ever make. Because if you truly follow college football and you truly understand what makes this sport what it is and what it used to be in the past, is because of tradition, pageantry. And now we just are trying to get rid of tradition. We now want to abolish part of what makes this sport what it is. It's so sad that I'm only 21 years old, and now I'm starting to sound like an old head. Now I get what Josh Pate was talking about when he was like, be careful what you wish for. I get why everybody else was so against, the transfer portal to a certain extent, NIL to a certain extent. These players and coaches being able to leave anytime they want, even expanding the playoffs to begin with, because nobody really thought about the ramifications that were going to come from that. Now we got the playoffs. Now we're going to expand to 12 teams and we get more playoff games, but we get less bowl games. I don't want that. People are like, you don't want more football? Bro, we get more football. We get that with bowl season. Oh, well, bowl games are meaningless. Says who? You? You're not playing in them. So why do you care? It's only meaningless because you don't want to watch it. Cool, if you don't want to watch it, you don't have to watch it. We're going to have meaningless playoff games soon. Like, not every playoff game in the semifinal is going to be competitive. If Michigan was to go against Tulane this year, or whoever was the highest ranked G5 school, which was Liberty, like Liberty got crushed by Oregon in the Fiesta Bowl. If you think that that's going to be an entertaining matchup next year, okay. Like, you're still going to have blowouts. You're still going to have games that aren't that competitive. Like, I like watching bowl season because I like watching extra football. I like watching these exhibition games. And if I was a player and I spent 3-4 years with a program, I wouldn't opt out. I would play because I want to make sure that I go out on top, given my university that I spent 3-4 years of my life with, all my dedication, all my pride, because that's what they earned. Like, if you give me a scholarship, you give me NIL opportunities, you give me a chance to showcase my ability on the biggest stage, why would I not feel indebted to you to finish what I started? That's why Alabama and the culture that Nick Saban has built is not comparable to any other program in the sport. Hell, even Ohio State, yeah, they have Marvin Harrison Jr. and Kyle McCord who hit the portal and not play. But they had a good amount of players who were starters who played in that game. JT Timmy Muau. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, but he's going to be a first-round pick without a doubt. And he might have just improved his draft stock without he played against Missouri. Like, I know it sounds like I'm rambling on here and I'm all over the place, but all I'm trying to say is that these bowl games aren't meaningless. ESPN and the whole college football playoff coverage has made them become watered down because they have emphasized that if you're not in the playoffs, you don't matter. Like, I've never ever thought I would hear the day when somebody said the Orange Bowl was a meaningless game. Like, what? Do you not know the history behind the Orange Bowl, bro? Man, y'all making me sound like I'm 60, 70 years old. Like, I'm not like one of those people that is against change. I'm excited for the 12-team college football playoffs. But it's not going to be what you think. All it's going to be is the SEC Big Ten Invitational. Oh, well, you don't know. Yes, I do, bro. Let's not be foolish. The ACC is about to disband. The Pac-12 is done. Look what's happened to college football. Everything that everybody thought would have made this sport better has taken away what has made this sport so great in the past. Oh, college football is heading in a great direction. Yeah, you say that until it looks damn near equivalent to what the NFL is, and I don't think any of us want that. The only thing that makes college football what it is now and gives us that college football vibe is the atmosphere of the games. When you go to a college football game, you're not going to get that same experience that you would at an NFL game. The different traditions, the different fight songs. Like college football, I don't like the direction this thing is headed. And if they take away bowl games, I'm going to be really upset. And I'm damn near about to shed a tear about it because I love bowl season. I love college football. And I love what has made this sport what it is today. Tradition and pageantry. And now people want to take away that part of it. Well, not everything is meant to last forever. We get that. But certain things are supposed to be implemented to make things better, not make it worse. We've made college football worse in the sense with all these transfer portal and NIL things that we've implemented in these things with no regulation. I'm finna move on, man. I know you guys are tired of me venting about college football's bowl problem, but that really hits different. Like, I really love bowl season. It's one of my favorite things to do during December when I'm on winter break. Watch bowl games. I love being able to watch a random bowl game on Monday night at 9 o'clock. Like, I just love watching football, bro. And taking away bowl season would kind of be taking away a piece of college football history, in my opinion. History should be relished. We should be trying to maintain college football's greatest traditions. And bowl games are a part of that.